Okay, the machine says it's working. And it is Sunday, March the 12th,
Aaron's birthday.
2017. Aaron is 3 years old today.
Yay.
3 going on 30.
Pat's birthday was yesterday, by the way.
You did?
It wasn't yesterday. He's a liar.
No.
It was not yesterday.
Yesterday. 29 years old. So.
29 years old.
Happy birthday. That's it.
Now, what was the pastor's sermon about?
Very long.
Lying.
Boy.
Just go ahead and eat your kolache.
Huh?
Just go ahead and enjoy your kolache.
Yeah, I mean, what the heck?
You lost it again.
I didn't even get started this time, though.
That's right.
Okay, we'll open class with a word of prayer. Gary, would you offer us a prayer?
Father, thank you for this opportunity to get together and learn of things that are in the future. We ask you to speak through Carl to give us information that we can use to tell others about what's going to happen. Thank you for the opportunity to have this church. And we pray that the church continues to grow. And we ask for safety and comfort for our families. And we want to praise you for what you've done in our lives. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Okay. I have purposely made a very short lesson today because I have been criticized because I'm teaching with a fire hose. You know, something my wife says.
He won't let us talk.
I did. You got to talk. It was just last month. Habakkuk in chapter 2 receives a vision of an appointed time. Now, the interesting thing about the appointed time is, we know the Jewish holy days are appointed times. They're times of rehearsal. But this appointed time, well, to back up a little bit, we've noticed that in all of these so-called minor prophets, there seems to be a focus on an immediate and obvious target, like Nineveh or Babylon or, you name it. But in the process of attacking that target, it's like, well, when the prophecies start out talking about the king of Babylon and we end up talking about Lucifer, for heaven's sake. And he is apparently the force behind the king of Babylon. So there is certainly a human king of Babylon, but the power behind the throne is satanic. And so we see in these minor prophets a target, a city, evildoers, which always seems to be somewhere in the Middle East where evil is still being done. And the immediate target is obvious, but there is this notion that there's something more to the picture because it talks about the hills melting. It talks about events which obviously didn't occur back in those days, or at least if they did, I wasn't aware of them. And it looks like it's pointing to a time yet future, like the end of the age. And there's all sorts of things that are popping up now. And I don't know about you, but when I read Revelation 12, let's say 2 years ago, I had an understanding of Revelation 12. I didn't need any more understanding. I knew that, well, that man-child is going to rule the world with a rod of iron. That's just Jesus. Let's get on to the next point. But now, as time gets closer and closer to what we believe is September the 23rd this year, it looks like there are so many compound pieces of evidence there. It starts out talking about the sign in the sky, the woman in travail. And then it says there's a dragon there ready to eat the child of the woman. And then it starts talking about the dragon in another sense. Oh, this is a personification of Satan himself. And it says when he drug a third of the stars of heaven down, well, we've always interpreted that as angels, He drug a third of the angels down with him. But that's not what it says. The heavens that's used there is Uranus. That's the heavens up there. So that implies we're getting stars thrown down upon us. Maybe meteorites is the correct interpretation of that. And so there's more and more levels to this thing. And the closer we get to it, I suspect we're going to learn even more as things go on. But the man-child who is to rule the world with a rod of iron, I always thought that was Jesus, but well, yeah, it's the body of Christ we're finding out. And so we are just in a time in history that is unique. the scriptures that have been here and that we've read hundreds of times, they had a certain meaning, and we all knew that, well, there's going to be a cosmic disturbance coming sometime at the end of the age, and all these bad things are going to happen. But for all we knew, the angels in heaven were just going to sit up there and throw rocks down from the atmosphere. We didn't know how it was going to work out, but oh, boy, do we know now. So at any rate, there's an appointed time, and we know that the next appointed time up for fulfillment is Rosh Hashanah, and that's when we have that Yom HaKisei being fulfilled, the day of the hiding. So at any rate, it identifies in chapter 2 the proud one whose soul is not right. This proud one you can interpret as, the king of Nineveh or whoever. But it also looks like we're talking about another proud one, which I would say is probably Satan. Because if you look at the woes that are categorized against him, he increases what is not his. That's what Satan does. Sure. Who has evil gained by cutting off many people? Satan do that? Oh, you betcha. But his earthly cohorts do the same. He builds a city with bloodshed. Well, we got lots of cities built with bloodshed. Makes your neighbor drunk. Well, I don't know about that one. I don't know, maybe Satan is in that business too. Who knows? And makes idols from wood and stone. Well, Satan is a great deceiver. He would be very happy for you to worship wood and stone, which have no value, no meaning, no capability, because that takes your eyes off of who the real ruler of heaven and earth is. So, at any rate, 5 woes against that proud one, whoever he is. Any questions about chapter 2 of Habakkuk? I've been thinking about these signs that I've been seeing off of the cameras in Switzerland. And I went back and did some research because this girl, June Cyphers, has been putting these on for about the last 6 months. So I began to look at them, and if you fast forward this one, that thing just immediately goes away. And I said, that looks like to me a camera, a lens flare or something. And I think it is. And then I said, if you look at these pictures from each one of these cameras, whatever she's seeing appears at exactly the same time every day in exactly the same location. I'll show you a picture here. This one was just on the 10th of the month. Now, this is the one we've been watching. This one right here. Look where it is with respect to this tree line right here. It's right under them. Now, I'm going to show you a picture that was taken about a month ago, 2 months ago. Now, look at this tree line. See the tree line? This thing is in exactly the same place. And what else I noticed is as you fast forward to this thing, the sun sweeps across the face of it and it stays stationary. What does that tell you? If this is a planet, it's in geosynchronous orbit with our Earth. It can't do that. If the sun is moving, the sun's really not moving. It's the Earth that's turning, right? And so if that's the case, and this thing is remaining stationary, the only place it can be is in geosynchronous orbit with the Earth. But if it's way out there 93 million miles close to the sun, it's going to be moving at light speed in order to keep up with the Earth's rotation. Whatever this thing is, it can't be a planet. It's got to be something. I can see maybe the reflection of some sort of a satellite in geosynchronous orbit or something. But it is, the other thing that gives this away, it's too darn big. If this thing is 93 million miles or on the other side of the sun or even close to the sun, it's too big. Now, there are some pictures that we have seen, or at least I've watched over the internet, of 2 suns rising, and you watch those, and those two light sources track each other all the way across the sky. That to me sounds legitimate, because wherever this thing is, if it's 93 million miles away, even if it's moving real fast, it's going to be tracking the sun as the Earth turns through it. This thing, I don't know what it is. The thing that made me think it was something was because sometimes you'll get clouds that overlay it. So how can it be something in the camera? I don't know. But all I do know is it fails the test after you think about it. I don't know what it is. But it's, huh?
Well, what about the 7 planets that they located, that they came out on the news and said, oh, but they're 40 million light years away or whatever?
I think that's a ruse. I think what they've done is they can examine these planets that are around the Nemesis brown dwarf. They know a lot about them now. And I think what they've done is they have dumped this out there and said that it's 39 light years away as another ruse. Oh, look what
It's out there,
kind of like,
but it's not immediately
yeah,
correct.
it's like the magician, you know. He's trying to get you to concentrate on his pretty model there while he does some manipulation over here. Look over there. You know, it seems to be the way NASA operates, you know. Keep your eyes somewhere else. Don't worry about these things flying around the sun. It's like the Wizard of Oz, you know. There's always the guy behind the machine.
Behind the curtain.
Yeah, it's the guy behind the curtain there. Don't pay any attention to him. He doesn't know what he's doing. So, at any rate, I don't know what these are. But the ones to me that pass the credibility test are the two suns that rise up. One very much smaller than our sun, in the same general area, moving at the same speed with each other. When this thing is stationary and the sun tracks around it, the only way that can happen is if the thing is in geosynchronous orbit with the Earth, which means it's got to be moving as fast as the Earth is turning. And you know, the geosynchronous orbit is 22,500 miles. That means when you're in orbit at that speed, you can be stationary over some point on planet Earth. Or if you're out there, say 100,000 miles, you've got to be going a whole lot faster to keep up. And so, but the minimum distance is 22,500. So what these are, I don't know.
Carl,
Yeah.
well, why hasn't WikiLeaks told us what this is?
Yeah.
You know why I think he hasn't? I think he's afraid to. I think he knows, because I am sure if he's gotten into the CIA files, he knows. There is correspondence in there about it. We saw some of it. Podesta, he was recorded in one of the WikiLeaks files with a memo back to Hillary, because Hillary didn't know what they were, what Nibiru was, and Podesta updated her. So it appears to me Podesta was on the inside, and Hillary wasn't yet, which I found surprising, because I figured that she'd be one of the first of the insiders to dig herself a hole. But who knows?
And why do you suppose Julian Assange is just focusing on the U.S. and all the stuff going on here? Why is he not trying to, break into other countries?
Merkel's emails.
Yeah,
or
well,
England.
why is he focusing on the U.S.?
Well, the reason I think he's focusing on the U.S. is because he has willing participants over here. He's being fed information from people on the inside who have an agenda. The agenda is most usually at bringing down the administration that you don't like. And there are both sides in the FBI and the CIA. And the CIA knows a lot about the Clintons. Some of them know a lot about Trump. And so you see a continual barrage from one side or the other. I think we've got two elements in there. And as soon as Trump figures out that he needs to fire a whole bunch of these people, particularly the IRS director, why in the world has that guy lasted as long as he has? I don't know. But my feelings on that are, yeah, I think Julian Assange plays whatever tune is given to him. It's just he's not getting anything from these other countries, particularly.
Well, I think, just personal opinion, I think Donald Trump is really a very smart man, and I think he's holding his cards. I think maybe he's wanting to see if this guy's going to step in it and catch him on it. But I feel like he hasn't fired everybody because he's trying to find out who the leak is. Let's see what's going on and where this leads to. And so that's just my personal feeling. I think he maybe knows, because it's kind of like my personal philosophy is, give them enough rope and they'll hang themselves. No, not intended for you, but.
It's gonna be a new rope though, isn't it?
Oh, it's brand new.
Brand new rope?
Brand new.
Good.
If not, Tractor Supply is right over there.
Oh, I have plenty at home. In fact, I've already perfected the knot that you do. Does
Name of the
that
news.
hurt your neck? Does that hurt your neck when I go pop?
Didn't even get 25 minutes.
From what I understand, it's
I've
very
already
quick,
lost
5 to
it.
15 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, all I can say is,
Maybe on the 23rd, huh?
Yeah.
if we're out of here on the 23rd, like it looks like, I'm gonna dunk you in the river of life.
You're gonna come through a bomb in my boat.
So at any rate, I think as we get closer to September the 23rd, particularly when we have the lunar eclipse, I think this thing will be close enough to us that it will, well, it'll open some eyes. I think we're almost assured of that based on the Revelation account, because right in there at the end of the sixth seal judgment, which is the first set of judgments, everybody runs for a hole in the ground and they looking up in the sky and it's scaring them to death. So, yeah.
I have a question. You've been looking at this thing for 6 months or so, and other people have been doing it longer probably. And if it's still going toward this, shouldn't it get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger?
Oh, if you believe what we've been told, you're exactly right. But here's the story. The people say that the last time this thing made an orbit around the sun, the Earth was on this side of the sun being here, as this thing went around that way. And so we caught a bit of the tail of it, but we didn't get the front end of it. And from what I'm hearing now, actually we're going counterclockwise, and this thing is coming up from the south, 30-degree angle, and it's coming at us like this. There's going to be a huge closing speed as soon as it gets up above the ecliptic, and we get on the other side, which is apparently going to be later this year. And it's just going to be a matter of days when it will be abundantly visible in the daylight. And so we're still not sure how this all works out. But somehow, 7 years from now, this thing comes in on a collision course with planet Earth. And that's when everybody, according to Matthew 24, they're just wilted with fear because they know we're in for a collision. And according to Jesus' own words, he says, unless that time would have been cut short, there would have been no life survived. There would have been a collision. So somehow God intervenes and knocks this thing off a course. So what that tells me is, because we don't know very much about this thing, it has a tremendous magnetic field. And it's entirely possible that that magnetic field is coming against the same pole as the sun as it comes up. And if it is, it's going to slow it down. What does that do? It no longer can achieve escape velocity. So what is it going to do? It's going to turn around and go back into orbit around the sun in close orbit. Instead of 3,600 years, now maybe it's only going to take 7 years. And then that thing is going to be running into everything in the inner solar system. And in 7 years' time, it will come back around and we'll be on a collision course. That's one theory of how this is all going to work out. But I'm almost positive that this whole planetary system is the sign of the coming of Jesus Christ, because the first picture I saw of this thing were planets orbiting around it, and on the four cardinal parts of a cross was a planet, and in the center was the Nemesis brown dwarf. It looked just like a cross with a bloody body in the center of it. Exactly would be my interpretation of a sign of the coming of the Son of Man, would be a cross. Yeah.
So how do you put that all together with the wars and rumors of wars and all this stuff that's supposed to go on in Jesus putting his feet down in Basra and the word of God?
The world is not going to be instantly destroyed. We're going to have some meteor impacts, probably an asteroid impact, the Wormwood asteroid, because it's going to really mess up planet Earth bad. We're going to have at least one big one of those and a bunch of small ones. But it's not going to completely destroy all the Earth at one time. There may be an asteroid or a meteor shower impact the United States and completely take this country out. It could do that. Well, I mean, imagine a meteor shower with the density of what they're claiming is surrounding Nibiru. It would knock all of our satellites out of orbit. And, you know, that's one of the main elements that we use in targeting bombs is the geosynchronous or orbiting satellites, so we can decide exactly which point we want to hit. You take those out, we don't have any accuracy anymore. Plus, if we have a big EMP event, electromagnetic pulse, takes the whole grid down, it'll be 100 years before this country can survive and come back. So that puts the third world countries free to do whatever they want. And they probably will.
Yeah, but it takes their aiming capabilities away.
Takes
as well,
theirs
'cause they're
down
all
too.
GPS driven.
They never had that much anyway, and what do they care now? They can go fight their own local battles over there without worrying about the United States or Russia interfering because we don't have the capability anymore. And besides, we're so busy fighting with our own problems over here that we don't have time to interfere with anybody else. That's just my theory as to how it all works out. But it does all work out. According to the Daniel account, this Antichrist guy, which I'm convinced is Ali Khamenei, he does his thing over there in the Middle East. He doesn't come and attack the United States. He is left with just his regional issues. And of course, his best and his most driving force is to get over there and wipe out Israel. And he will come and try to do it, and he will overrun. And exactly what happened on 70 AD is probably going to happen again in Jerusalem. He's going to surround Jerusalem, and there is going to be a bloodletting there like you can't imagine, except for a group that escapes, probably to Petra. So, interesting times. But as time goes on, we'll go back and revisit some of those Daniel passages and see how they fit with the known events. Isaiah 24. The earth is violently broken, the earth is split open, the earth is shaken exceedingly. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall totter like a hut. Its transgression will be heavy upon it, and it will fall and not rise again. It shall come to pass in that day, that's the day of the Lord, that the Lord will punish on high the host of his exalted ones, and on the earth the kings of the earth, and the moon will be disgraced. That word means red. And the sun will be ashamed, another word for red. For the Lord of hosts will reign on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem and before his elders gloriously. That passage, we all took with a grain of salt whenever I taught Isaiah, but I said, well, there's probably coming some sort of a cosmic disturbance that's going to cause the earth to, reel like a drunkard. And, we got the mechanism now. We know what it is, and the interesting thing is, it's surrounded by red iron oxide. And the sun will look red, because it will at some point, that whole cloud of junk will just permeate the whole internal region of the solar system, and everything will be filtered through that red cloud. The sun will look red, the moon will look red, because that dirt cloud will be all around us. And
Where do you get red?
what's that?
Where do you get red?
Disgraced and ashamed.
Disgraced and ashamed. Those two words, if you look them up, if you look them in the blue letter Bible, it says red.
She has a white letter Bible.
Oh, she has a white letter.
Totally different.
That's interesting.
She's always different.
Yeah,
White.
Carl,
yeah.
well, that first verse there, the 19, is talking about the violently broken and
Mhm.
split open, When we say that, are we talking like split in half, what's gonna happen?
Well, no doubt from what they tell me, and I only know what I'm told, but as soon as that Nemesis planet gets close enough to planet Earth, it will have a gravitational pull on the lithosphere, or the surface of planet Earth, and it will pull that whole thing around, and there will be cracks and fissures everywhere. And the mountains literally are going to fall down. And there will be plains everywhere. There will be only one mountain in the whole planet Earth, and that will be Mount Zion. Everything else will be down flat. So my belief is, the Earth's going to be split open in lots of
And
places.
if, as Nibiru comes through, if the earth flips on its axis,
And it will, yeah.
that's got to be cataclysmic.
Oh, it
I mean,
is.
that's
That
gonna
passage in
shake all the
Matthew
tectonic
24,
plates and-
it says that the sky will be rolled up like a scroll. Well, they're saying that when that thing passes by, the Earth will flip so fast that the atmosphere can't keep up with it. And it's going to roll like this, the atmosphere. And when it does that, it's literally going to roll up like a scroll, just like Matthew said. And you're going to have the outer reaches of our atmosphere turn and find themselves very close to the ground. And what's up there?
Cold air.
Cold air.
Space,
Now,
cold air.
ponder this. You know, they have found in Siberia mastodons, quick frozen.
Yes.
And there are many presidents and premiers have eaten mastodon steaks because they were quick frozen. And if you go and try to figure out how that mechanism occurred, well, who is the people that make Jolly Green Giant? Any rate, these people that are familiar with freezing things, how fast do you have to freeze something in order for it not to spoil? You know, you got to get it down there pretty quick. Well, at any rate, they were, you know, when you give the dimensions of a mastodon, that's a huge piece of meat. How cold does it have to be to freeze that thing so that it wouldn't spoil? And they were talking temperatures like 100 degrees below zero. I mean, very cold stuff. And nobody could ever figure out how in the world that happened. Plus, once it's frozen, it's got to stay frozen. And if you notice, a lot of these mastodons and things, they're covered under the permafrost. So they have never thawed out since that event occurred. And that event occurred, most likely, the last time Nibiru came through the solar system. So now you got the mechanism for how that may have
When
happened.
the earth flips like that,
Mhm.
what does it feel like a really huge earthquake? I mean, do you flip over? I mean, what?
Well, you're still going to be,
Gravitational.
Yeah,
you're just going to see the sky roll by, basically, is what you
you
will
won't
see.
feel it?
Oh, well, there'll be earthquakes. And mountains will be falling. It's not going to be a pleasant experience.
But we won't be here.
We won't be here. No. You don't have to worry about it. You can look over heaven's boundary, though, and you can watch it happening down there. But, you know, look, there's other passages that says that the earth is literally turned upside down. And interestingly, if you look in Egyptian literature and Egyptian history of many thousands of years ago, they report that the sun once rose in the east. I'm sorry, in the west. And several cultures have reported that. So sometime in the past, we got flipped upside down, and now it looks like it's going to happen again.
On that disgrace thing, I think I have an idea why that means, why that means red. If you're disgraced, it's like being embarrassed.
Yeah.
So that was when we
Disgrace.
And embarrassed to turn red.
Our faces
Yeah.
turn red.
So
We're
you
embarrassed.
yeah, you're embarrassed.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's where the red comes from.
Could be.
But here's another word that before his elders.
24?
What's an elder? I had to look that one up. Well, yeah.
I've had one margarita too many. I've seen the sunrise in the west. That was a long time ago.
That'll do it.
No, you're older than you look.
Tequila sunrise.
Yeah.
Wasting away in Margaritaville. Yes.
An elder.
Any rate, this word elder, interesting word. It's those who are in or who have the power to control, who are in control of things. You look at that word elder there, and look over in Revelation 12, where the 24 elders appear. Those elders, those 24, are 24 orders of priesthood, and the crowns that those 24 wear are called Stephanos, which are overcomers' crowns. That's the church. It's a unit, a 24-element unit of priesthood, and that's what the church is. Yeah.
So they're Jews then, right? They're Jews and
These guys? Nope. This is the church.
Exactly.
I believe that before his elders are me and thee. We are the ones who are in control. We are the ones who will rule this world with a rod of iron. This is the admonition to the church at Thyatira. Yeah.
How many members in the Sanhedrin?
71.
Don't know. Good
Good
question.
answer, 71.
Google.
71.
71
That
members.
includes the high priest.
Okay, but the priests.
Ooh, 71. 7 plus 1 is 8. Isn't that?
Well, 7.
7. Yeah, so, yeah, anyway, go on.
What just
Hey,
happened?
numerology. Numbers are a way of communicating, by
Yes.
the way. And when the word Christos in the Greek has a numerical value or gematria of 888, anytime you see that number 8, you want to think, well, there must be something here we're talking about the Lord himself. And I always look at numbers like that. When I used to play golf a lot, which was like last week.
Like this week, I wanted to avoid 888, because that was a
But
three bad
when I was employed, I had to work for a living. Some of you probably can identify with that.
Send those
I would love to play golf, and I would have like when I worked for HL&P, I was the president of the golf association. We would take 100 people and go out and take over a course for a day, and we'd play golf. Oh, we had a big time. And my goal in life was to shoot 69 and win a golf tournament. I thought that once you've done that, there is no more to life.
That's crazy, yeah.
And it was really funny. I remember the first time I did that, which was with HL&P, shot 69. 3 months later, I was gone. I'd left HL&P and went to another company. That was Foster Wheeler. And so I got involved with the Foster Wheeler golf tournament. And I thought, boy, I wonder if I could ever do that again. Shot a 69, won the golf tournament. 3 months later, I was gone. This happened, I can't tell you how many times. And every time I would shoot a 69, I would just look around, I'd say, well, I'm out of here. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm out of here. And but if you look at the letter
You
six,
shoot a
do you-
69 over the summer.
I was gonna say, do you have a golf tournament scheduled on July 23rd?
no, but I will tell you what I did last week on Thursday. I shot the best round of golf I ever shot. I shot 62. 6 plus 2 is 8.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And so I think this is a message that we're out of here. But
Either that or when Marilyn turned 69.
yeah, I hope it's a long time before that. Man,
Too
yeah.
long.
You do not have to worry about being an elder because you, in this class, you never have control. You're supposed to have control.
You have an excellent point there.
Thank you.
I am the only one who has a class that's
Get through this lesson.
I don't even control. I'm
Outlaws.
There, just keep reading, it's 20 to 12, and church let
I
out
ain't even
early
got to.
today. Church let out early today.
Well, we're hung up on this elder thing here. I just had to point this out. But the point is that we see things now like we haven't seen them before. And the redness of some of these celestial objects, we understand the mechanism behind them now. And it's just, the more I read, the more guys, those are not Martians, those are not planets, that's a space probe. Yeah, we got a space probe up there, and it's
Russians
awesome.
spying on us.
Yeah, it's the
because of
Russians.
Trump.
It's the Russians doing. It's Trump. Yeah, it's something. The Trump administration did it. A prayer of Habakkuk, the prophet upon Shigionoth. I bet you wonder what that word is. I sure did. Well, that's a poetic phrase. In other words, this is basically, I guess if you could read this in Hebrew, it would be sort of a poem. O Lord, I have heard thy speech, and I was afraid. O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of my years, and in the midst of the years make known in wrath, remember mercy. Well, in wrath? Well, there's wrath coming, and it sounds like, well, maybe he's speaking about not only his time, but let's fast forward to the end of the age. Certainly, I want him to remember mercy when the wrath comes, because I don't want to be here. God came from Teman. Well, Teman is basically the south. That's one of the descendants of Esau. And the Holy One from Mount Paran, which is north. And then you get this word Selah. What does that mean?
Think about this.
Yeah. Think about it.
Yeah.
His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. Well, it may have been, but it sure doesn't seem like it's that way now, does it? But it will be. His brightness was like light, and he had rays flashing from his hand, and there was power, and there his power was hidden. I saw some interesting YouTube pictures of the sunrise, and the sun literally was flashing. I don't know what was happening, but it sounded like there must have been something rotating around in the field of the light that was causing it to dim and then immediately come back on full blast. It was strange. Who knows? Maybe this is God flashing us a message. Before him went pestilence, and fever followed at his feet. Wars, rumors of wars, famines, pestilence, earthquakes. These are all signs that...
Got all that right now.
Oh, we got it all. Yeah, it's getting worse too. I heard we got some fungus now that's invaded the United States, and I don't know what it does, but it can't be good.
Does it kill St. Augustine?
I don't know.
That may happen.
Yeah, it was probably imported to kill St. Augustine. It also killed Republicans, so we had a bunch of it imported.
The fungus among us.
Yeah. He stood and measured. That word measured literally means shook. He shook the earth and looked startled at the nations, and the everlasting mountains were scattered, and perpetual hills bowed. His ways are everlasting. Well, when did that ever happen in the age of Habakkuk? Well, it didn't, but it's going to. I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction, and the curtains of the land of Midian trembled. O Lord, you were displeased with their rivers. Was your anger against the rivers? Was your wrath against the sea, that you rode on your horse, your chariots of salvation? And that word salvation is Yeshua. And these horses, it's a symbol of power. And he's riding in on his power, and bad things are happening to the rivers and the waters. Read Revelation. It's coming to a planet near you. Your bow was made quite ready. Oaths were sworn over your arrows. Selah, you divided the earth with rivers. Well, no doubt he did. Maybe he's going to redo them. The mountains saw you and trembled. The overflowing of water passed by. The deep uttered its voice and lifted its hands on high. It sounds like we got a big, well, what would happen if you had an asteroid land in the ocean? You'd get a tsunami. You'd get the rivers all messed up, the overflowing waters passing by for sure. The sun and the moon stood still in their habitation. What does that tell you? The earth got locked into the gravitational field of something, and it shut down the spinning. Now, the lithosphere, you can lock it up, but the internals of the earth are going to continue to go around, my suspicion would be. And so that's going to create volcanoes, earthquakes, famines, wars, rumors of wars, all kinds of bad things. And at the light of your arrows they went, at the shining of your glittering spear. Well, that sounds like we've got a poetic representation of meteors coming down on planet Earth. You marched through the land in indignation, you trampled the nations in anger. Well, he's literally going to trample the nations in anger. I mean, we got rocks coming out of the heaven that are, as the Revelation account says, they're around 100 pounds, and they hit everything. And that's exactly what we've got in the tale of Nibiru. You went forth for salvation of your people, for salvation of your anointed. You struck the head from the house of the wicked by laying bare from the foundation to the neck. Well, sounds like we got bad stuff happening here, but you went forth for the salvation of your people. That's Yeshua again, and for the Yeshua with your anointed. Jesus is in here so many places in so many different ways. And this passage also is talking about laying bare the foundation. There won't be a stick left standing when this event is through. Every time I see those big cities that are brand new, built in Dubai and places like that, you can just see God sitting up there warming his hands. Oh, you think that's going to last, do you?
Like a sandcastle.
A sandcastle, well.
You didn't build it on rock, it's all built on sand.
It's all built on sand. And they spent billions of dollars there, and it won't be for long.
When you think about it, you mentioned the volcanoes. We've got Mount St. Helens, we've got Yellowstone. I mean, if the earth starts to move and those fissures start to crack, just imagine the release of the lava and the
Well,
melted rock that could be released.
Well, they say that pool under Yellowstone was a former supervolcano, and I think it's like 30 miles in diameter, or some huge number like that.
Imagine if that opens up.
And you break that apart, I mean, that alone puts the United States, probably the world, out of commission for I don't know how long. So who knows? You thrust through with his own arrows the head of his villages. They came out like a whirlwind to scatter me. Their rejoicing was like feasting on the poor in secret. You walked through the sea with your horses through a heap of great waters. Well, that word horses can mean power. And we're talking heaps of water, whirlwinds, lions and tigers and bears, all sorts. Where did it? Oh, what's wrong with this thing? I think we're going to have an exorcism of the. When I heard, my body trembled, my lips quivered at the voice. Rottenness entered my bones, and I trembled in myself that I might rest in the day of trouble. Well, that's my admonition also. I want to rest in this day of trouble. When he comes up to his people, he will invade them with his troops. Though the fig tree may not blossom, nor the fruit on the vine, though the labor of the olive may fail, and the fields yield no food, though the flock may be cut off from the fold, and there be no herd in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. Well, you can see what's going to happen. We may see some of this before we're out of here. There may be famines, potentially. There may be, there no doubt is, all sorts of distress on planet Earth right now. Plenty of reason to believe that, just as this passage has indicated, Earth is in a mess. There is no hope, but yet I will rejoice in the Lord, the God of my Yeshua, my salvation. The Lord God is my strength. He will make my feet like a deer's feet, and he will make me walk on my high hills. To the chief musician with stringed instruments. Well, this was a poetic sort of thing, and he just threw it in there. Start the violins playing now. Obviously, and the harps. And what were the harps? Where did you play the harp if you were a Jewish person? I get to answer it, huh?
David played it for the king.
Yeah, he played it, but they were a musical instrument used for joy around Feast of Tabernacles. And when they went into Babylonian captivity, they took their harps, and on the trees as they left town, they put them on the trees and left them, because their joy was gone. There would be no need to play those harps anymore. So no stringed instruments left with the Jews when they went into Babylonian captivity. So you see all kinds of stuff here in Habakkuk 3 that would lead you to believe that he's not so much talking about his current day, but he's also speaking about the day of indignation, the day of trouble. And that in that day of trouble, I will rejoice or joy in the God of my salvation. And that's where we sit right now, because as these things come up and we see distress of nations, and maybe in August, when we have that lunar eclipse of the sun, we may get to see what's up there first class and close and personal. And don't you know, there are going to be people asking questions. And there's going to be so few answers, because the first thing you think about is, how am I going to keep myself alive? Where am I going to go? There is no place to go. There is no place to go. There is only one hope. And that's the hope that we have. And that hope is, it's called a rapture, an escape from the danger of destruction. We've got the message. And when those times come, people are going to wonder why you're not worried. And you'll have the story to tell them. Not worried because I'm out of here. This is good news to me. Maybe look back bad news to you, but I will rejoice in the Lord. Okay.
The
The end.
The end.
We can hope that some of those signs will wake up some of our prodigal children.